call the August 3rd, 2021 Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:45 p.m. First order of business is to consider the consideration of claims. I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the consideration of claims in the amount of $665,696.88. Payroll and liabilities for 7/16 of '21 in the amount of $377,904.20 for a total of $1,043,601.08.
Second.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the bills as presented, the claims as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else to come before this committee? Being none, we'll adjourn at 6:46 p.m.
now call the August 3rd, 2021 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Would Councilmember Borders lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and the invocation will be given to us by Councilmember Larson.
Our eternal Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this opportunity to meet as a city council in a free country. Thankful for representation. Thankful for the blessings that Thou hast bestowed upon this city. Ask that Thou might bless us with insight, understanding, and wisdom that we might do and be and help those in need of help, the citizens of Riverton, and we would ask also that you might watch over the first responders, that they might be in thy care, especially the firefighters that are striving to make our lives better. Father, we are thankful for all our blessings, acknowledging thy hand in all things. Say this humbly, name thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would the city clerk please conduct roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Carla Borders. Here. Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Cox from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Peranto has the motion and Councilman Bailey has the second. Further discussion? I called her last night to talk to her because she told me she would be missing, and she was on a small island that had no vehicle travel. It was all bicycle or wagon, just off of Long Island, New York. And she said it was really kind of fun to not have all the traffic around her. So interesting I'm glad I called her just to get the update. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. I declare a quorum is present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Further council discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is scheduled for a public hearing will be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on any other item may speak now, and I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the records.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ellen Christensen. Lived in Riverton for 50 years. So I'm here tonight to talk about the new proposed ordinance, concurrence of senior staff employment practices. And I'll just start out with my concerns about it. The biggest concern I have is that why are we changing it? Well, I don't understand why. I've heard different reasons, not quite sure why. One of those reasons was stated at one of the radio shows, Ernie, and it was to change the government by the vote of the people and not by administrative challenges. Get administrative challenges, but government slow all over. I mean, I think of administrative challenges as rules and regulations and laws and all those checks and balances. So I'm not sure what administrative challenges we're facing because of that. I think checks and balances are very important for the city. I think it keeps us transparent, keeps us going, alleviates a lot of legal matters that may come around. So one of the other concerns is the ordinance states in conjunction with city council, well, this is under mayor's duties, I'm sorry, in conjunction with city council, have superintending control of all officers and affairs of the city. And that's 2.04.027. To me, if the city council is going to be part of that political process in hiring and in terminating senior staff, it seems to me they're political appointees. Or we're politicizing those jobs. That concerns me. I don't think that we need to do that. That is a concern. All the senior staff, I feel it'll be a political quagmire. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a mess for employees, for you guys. It's, everybody's talking to this one, who do you listen to? Who do we go to? Right now, it's clear who we go to, or we, the staff goes to. That would be Tony. At that point, that information's disseminated to the mayor, the council, the powers, all the other senior staff. I think there's a clear-cut a process for that information to be taken care of. And it would make it so much easier for the employees, the senior staff, and employees. I mean, did you ever have eight bosses? I've been working for almost 60 years straight, and I've always only had maybe one, or always one, maybe 1.5. 8, and I know that you may not see yourself as bosses, but to the employees, you are. Plain and simple. From that code I quoted, I mean, you have supervisory and powers over the employees. That makes a tough job for these employees. And this city of Riverton I was on council for 4 years. I know the city of Riverton employees are well-educated, trained, they've been in their jobs for a long time, and I'm guessing they want to stay there for a long time. But it would be like stepping on, tiptoeing through glass sometimes, knowing what to do. And again, I feel that the city administrator, there's a clear-cut process for that. He takes care of that. He hires, he fires, he disciplines, he does whatever. But then that information's disseminated. And how do I say this? When I was on council, I mean, we always knew somehow of new employees coming through, the senior staff. I mean, we kind of knew. We got that memo someplace. So we did. This council does have a piece in that. They already do. So I think they have an appropriate function now. So, but I am, and by doing this, changing this order, putting this ordinance into play, those administrative challenges, I think you're going to quadruple them. You're to the power of 10 for City Hall. It's going to be tough to know what to do, not just for employees, but for you guys, for everybody here. It's going to be tough. One of my concerns is going to be frustrating for the senior staff. Like I said, who do they listen to? The current form of government, and that is, I think it's the weak mayor, if I'm correct. Is it a weak mayor? Yeah. But I don't like the wording of that per se, but I think the current administrator, Tony Tolstead, is an experienced, highly educated, highly experienced, knowledgeable guy that has worked in municipal government for a while. It keeps our city running. He's that intermediary between council and staff. He's the guy that knows how to handle politics and business. And I'm sure that's how I see it. It just seems like that's what that job is to me. You've got to know so much on both sides. I worry about, does everybody at the council know that municipal codes and those things to the point where hiring and firing is can you all do a good job at that? It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of time. I was on there 4 years. Holy smokes, there's so much more to know. I mean, it's tough. It's tough, but these guys he is so educated in that. Another one of my concerns. I was hoping that, I like the current form of government. I was hoping we could keep that. I think by continuing with that, I think it provides every citizen a good chance of input. They go to their council person, the council person goes to the mayor takes that information and works with Tony. It gets out to the powers that be. They do what they have to do, and they come up with the answers that works for most folks. It diffuses the power of special interest, plain and simple. It really does. There's that clear-cut lines. It eliminates partisan politics from municipal government. And that includes hiring, firing, contracts, appointments, commissions, et cetera. The list went on. When I researched this, talked to Wham and everybody, and it really does. It takes some of that away, or a lot, or should take it all away. But we're human, so I think the council has equal voice now. They have oversight to administrative functions to a certain degree, and I think that has worked for the city. I think it gives the citizens an opportunity to be heard more by going to their council person, going to the mayor, going to the city employees. That's another thing about city employees. Their doors are open to any questions, dumb questions. I wish I had $1 for every dumb question I asked at city council. It was just amazing what they taught me. Or I wouldn't know to question the ordinance. I knew enough, I learned enough to say, hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? So here's a little thing for any citizens watching. Please take the opportunity to come down here, to watch it on TV. Don't be complacent about issues. You got to be part of it. You have to be part of it to know what's going on with your city and understand what's going on, because you may or may not like it, but everybody needs to be heard. So I think that's totally important. So in closing, I feel that the new ordinance should not be passed, as we already have a process that's in place that keeps us between the lines, they're clear lines. We know how to stay on the straight and narrow with all the quagmire of information that we have to have and laws and regulations. I think we're doing a good job now. And then again, I'd like to tell the citizens, be part of it. Come down here. It's not that bad. If I got up here and spoke, anybody can. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary Ellen.
You bet. No problem.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda item by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, July 20th, 2021, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, July 20th, 2021, executive session. Approval of the minutes, August 3rd, 2021 Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for August 3rd, 2021. Replat of lots 4, 5, and 6 of Block 11 of Woodward Ridge Estates. The petitioners are Eileen and William Owens, Tony and Cheryl Crippen, and Jody and Carrie Powell. And an open container permit application for Lander Medical Clinic for an annual office party at Sunset Park on August 20th, 2021 from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, this evening, the Finance Committee met, and it is our recommendation to approve the claims to be paid in the amount of $665,696.88, as well as the payroll and liabilities for July 16th, 2021, in the amount of $377,904.20, for a total of $1,043,601.08.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda item as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. For any further council discussion?
Your Honor, I'd like to abstain from any claims that are paid to Traveling Computers or to Wyonet.
You in for the ride?
Yep, there's none in there this time.
Here we go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 21-009, third and final reading, light manufacturing, commercial zoned property. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 21-009 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-009 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to revise Chapter 17.08 definitions, Section 17.08.010 definitions, and Chapter 17.56 Commercial District C1, Section 17.56.040 use regulations of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-009 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilman Peranto has the second. Any further discussion? Kyle?
Tony, does that mean we could have a tailor shop? Tailor shop that I see on television, you go in and select the cloth. Then they go and they make you a suit out of the cloth on that property. Or a shirt with the same cigarette hole burned in the pocket.
Your Honor, Councilman, I believe that would apply very much so to this. It allows the production of goods at those light levels in the back. Don't know if you want the cigarette burn, but you can definitely have the shirt.
Why, in the first place, would we not have something that you can finish some partial work? Why does that occur? We adopt general principles from other sources. We don't have brain children working in the back room figuring out ways to slow down progress. Why would we have something where you can only sell shirts and not modify them, sell cloth and not sew them?
Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Councilman, I guess philosophically speaking, you have certain codes that exist they exist because, one, they were adopted at a particular time where the desired use in a particular area was restrictive. In this case, what we have found in the organization as well as the community is that light manufacturing, that non-impactful work needs to be allowed within that, and that's why that was put forward. So I don't have a good answer of why it would. I think it's fully appropriate that we allow for this light manufacturing, this very, very light impact, if any, to be done, and that helps spur commerce. That says, not only can I sell the shirt, but I can tailor the shirt. Not only can I sell the jacket, but I can tailor the jacket. Not only can I sell the jewelry, I can actually modify, make, resize the jewelry. I mean, they do that in the mall, in certain places. If you go to Riddle's or something, they can redo that. So we should allow those things. I don't know why it was, though.
Thank you.
Also, to answer that, commercial zoning is designed for commercial application, and so that's spread out throughout the city to designate, just like residential housing, where it can be located. And so it controls manufacturing, and so you just can't come into downtown Main Street and decide you're gonna build knockoff Chevy trucks, right, in downtown. But what this does is it amends that commercial code to allow for light manufacturing, which has no noise factor to it, which has no waste factor to it, which has no necessarily over parking factor to it. There's a lot of things that go with commercial. You know, if we had a real, so Style Homes years ago, when they were manufacturing houses on the south side of Riverton, took a lot of parking to bring that workforce to that location. So, you know, we try to keep commercial zoning in its place and have people go to where that commercial zoning is placed. And so this is an exception to that commercial zoning that allows us to do manufacturing in other locations.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Mr. Honor, Councilman Dean Pronto,
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey,
Aye.
Councilwoman Carla Borders,
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury,
Aye.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 21-011, second reading, cruelty to animals. Animal Control Officer's report, please.
After review from the city attorney Rick Sollers,
Shannon, could you come to the mic, please?
After review from the city attorney Rick Sollers, he came back with these changes and additions. Suggested verbiage changes have been made to the amended proposed ordinance number 21-011. Suggested verbiage changes have been made to the amended abandon definition to read, "A person permanently leaves an animal on public or private property not belonging to the animal owner and/or ceases to look after." Section B on aggressive animal definition to read, "Any animal that has chased, approached, or otherwise interacted with a human being, domestic animal, or livestock which is outside of a fenced enclosure or not restrained in an intimidating or aggressive manner." Omitting resulting in injury or death in vicious animal definition, Section A.
We appreciate that. Maybe there's a better way to do this than make you read the entire ordinance. So council has had that opportunity to review those. We're in second reading, which means we can still amend if people have problems. We also are at that point where we could table if people don't like the paperwork that's in front of them. It's extensive, and and I have read it. I think you've done a good job with the requests from last council meeting to catch up the terms and to keep the teeth in place. And so maybe it would be an easier thing to ask council if they had additional verbiage that they would like to have to be added to the existing text. Please. Carla.
I guess my concern is the language on the, any animal that is chased, approached, or otherwise interacted with a human being, domestic animal, or livestock. Some of us, and me being one, we have 2 large dogs. They're very friendly, and probably the worst they would do is lick you to death. Sometimes they bust out of the yard, but they're not aggressive in any way. But my concern is what if someone felt like they were aggressive? It's kind of a subjective thing, and that kind of bothers me. So I guess I just wonder what would happen in a case like that.
Well, and I think we have to go with case-by-case scenario. Every case is different. So, I mean, if yours are, it's pretty stated that, I mean, if they are in any way going, attacking or chasing, and when something's chasing something to attack it is, different than your dog's playfully, if your dogs are, and who knows, when they get packed up, they could, I've seen it. If they get, more than one dog and they're considered, in a pack, their demeanor changes when they've got something that they're running after. And I think it just covers, and again, it's case-by-case scenario. If it was reported that they were just, it's all.
I know, it's a lot of subjectivity, so I guess
Sure.
that's kind of what concerns me,
Sure.
because, everyone has an animal escape once in a while.
Sure.
We don't like it, but a lot of it is, it's how that person feels, because they're big. They could knock over a little kid, and they wouldn't mean to.
Right.
But I would just hate to think that a dog, might have to be put down or something like that because of it.
Well, and in that sort of case, I'm going to look at it like, that's, like I said, with knocking, that's not, it's different than when one is actually out there trying to chase something, attack it, and kill it. Or injure it. Knocking a kid down, I'm not going to have a dog put down because it, knocked a kid down because it wants to run up and lick him in the face. It's different when they're going at him aggressively, wanting to do some
Right.
physical harm.
Right.
It's pretty, yeah. After talking to, if there's something that happens like that, you get the whole story. It most certainly not going to have a dog put down because of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was my biggest question.
Yeah.
I know.
No.
We had a neighbor one time, they wrestle and growl at each other, and they're just playing, but she thought they were fighting.
Sure.
So that concerns me, because it's someone else's perception, and they don't necessarily know those dogs. So I guess that's I just want it to be kind of clear-cut
Sure.
in that ordinance as to what
Gotcha. Yeah.
determines that aggressive dog.
No, I would most certainly not even try to, approach something like that as putting dogs down that are, it was an accident. Chasing dogs chasing something to harm them is not an accident. They're out to,
Right.
hurt.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, we have 3 of these in front of us, so council, jump in on any of the 3. We have Shannon here, and she can explain what they're doing, so.
Your Honor. So in section 608-130, duty of the animal control officer, do you think it's appropriate that it has to be witnessed by the officer, and in the presence for you to deal with that? Or do you think that's kind of restrictive for you?
Well, and that kind of bothers me too. When he came back with that, I was because a lot of times they're not going to do it in my presence. The incident we had down at the trailer park, that was not done in my, I don't think people are going to do it in my presence. I
feel like that's pretty restrictive, having you
Yeah.
witness it.
Yeah.
The other thing on that same thing, when you're going in to do that, is it safe for you to enter private property without people knowing and take care of that animal? Or what is the process for that?
Well, and if
Of the officer?
And I have never been faced with that yet, of not going to a property where nobody's there. There's always been somebody there. And if there wasn't, I would make sure, I would call chief and ask him and go over the situation and make sure I'm not going to go in anywhere that's not deemed safe by any means. Especially with any loose dogs or anything that you could put myself in danger, or that's just not going to happen.
So maybe we ought to, Chief, could you help me there? Maybe that's something that we ought to make sure for our own safety, that we don't put Shannon or the next employee in trouble by entering without backup.
Right.
And I would think that you wouldn't anyway. That's just standard police practice, so I don't know that
Right.
it needs to be said anyplace.
Sure.
But I think what you're trying to point out is that somebody has to witness the attack to legitimize the fact that there's been an attack that takes place. Is that the problem?
Yes, and then you have to go in after, I mean,
So if I'm out on the bike path and I'm by myself and a dog comes up and aggressively bites me and I don't have Mike to corroborate my story, then it couldn't have happened other than the dog bite.
no, this
Teeth
was more
marks.
on, yeah.
Tony, help us.
Your Honor, I apologize. This section deals directly with cruelty to animals, not the dog bite
And
scenario.
could you give us which page?
It's page 17 towards the
17.
bottom on 6.08130. It starts with the red and goes about 3 lines down, that's the right area.
Yeah, it's more when they're abusing an animal.
So section 6 and any animal witnessed being treated cruelly in the presence of the animal control officer. So in this section, I believe it refers only to
Cruelty down.
only to the cruelty section.
And I think, again, that's important that you would be able to make that decision.
Yes,
I think if someone reports it, you should be able to, and
investigate it.
not
That's
have
the
to
whole
witness it.
reason.
That, I think, needs
Yes.
to be amended.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, instead of, I mean, because like I said, nobody's.
Witness in your presence doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
exactly, yeah.
Yes, so thanks, Tony. I think that's a whole different subject of witnessing, right? So you have to keep me on the right section of where we're at. Any other comments? Kyle? Dean?
No, sir.
So where we're at is, Mike, you got any?
Oh, I'm good.
Let's go back. Shannon, you can take your seat if you'd like. I appreciate you coming up.
Thank you.
Let's go to number 10C. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance number 21-011 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Paranto has a motion. Councilman Bailey has a second. Further discussion?
I would just like to amend the part where she has to be in the presence of somebody abusing an animal.
So that's a different ordinance.
Oh, okay, you're just in the first
So-
ordinance, okay.
We want to go down, that's under ownership, or where am I? Help me out.
Okay,
Is this on
but
cruelty?
we're not on the right, yeah, we're not on the right one.
We are not on cruelty, are we?
We're on 21-011.
We're on the first one, which is 21,
So no
so
discussion.
we won't get to that till 13.
Okay.
Okay? So any other discussion?
Your Honor, before you call a vote, can I read it by title only?
No, you
Please.
cannot. Would you please?
Proposed ordinance number 21-011 on second reading, an ordinance amending Title VI Animals to revise Chapter 6.04 Animals Generally, amending Section 6.04.005 Definitions and 6.04.050 Cruelty to Animals Generally of the Riverton Municipal Code and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Excuse me for leaving you behind. Now can we vote?
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. This is consideration of ordinance number 21-012, second reading, animal control. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 21-012 by title only, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-012 on second reading, an ordinance amending Title VI Animals to revise Chapter 6.08 Dogs and Cats, amending Section 6.08.040 Vicious and Dangerous Dogs, and 6.08.130 Duty of Animal Control Officer of the Riverton Municipal Code and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-012 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Paranto has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Further discussion?
That's when I think we should amend section 6.08.130 to take out witnessed being treated cruelly in the presence of the animal control officer.
Okay, so give me a page number.
17,
17.
bottom of 17.
Okay.
Your Honor. Christie, could we just take out in the presence of an animal control officer and leave being, the witnessed being in there? Because you can look at a critter and see that. Because that doesn't necessarily mean you're witnessing, it's witnessed being treated.
Does it still have to be witnessed?
Yeah, I guess you could take witnessed out and leave being treated cruelly.
That's what I think.
And, Your Honor,
Please, Mike.
I guess to me, it has to be witnessed by somebody.
Right.
I don't think it has to be the animal control officer. It could be any police officer. It could be the garbage collection guy. And that probably would be sufficient, so.
It's under the duty of animal control officers, the section. So that's why I think it needs to be.
And that could be true, too.
And because it's under the animal control officers, Kristen, could you enlighten us? Does that, if we put another witness in that, that wouldn't be under the control of the animal control officer? Is that correct? So really, we're talking about her duties, right? So is it all right to strike,
I think so.
Mike?
Yeah, I think we're fine.
So Kristen, could you help us make that a strike on the, before third reading?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
And, Your Honor, I have one other thing. On 6.08040, vicious and dangerous dogs, would we not want this to apply to any vicious and dangerous animal? I think the dogs are being discriminated against.
Agreed.
Could be a cat or a
Raccoon?
raccoon or something else. So I think it should be broader than just dogs.
And you're on,
Animal would be fine.
and we also need a change under A, second line under his or her charge or control any vicious animal instead of vicious dog.
Yeah.
Without having such property, so I have to take dog out. Like you change one thing, you have to change the whole thing.
Vicious dog.
So make it animal or something.
Animal.
Yeah.
Kristen, can we get that too?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. So we have those two changes on this ordinance that is number 12. Has anybody else got an addition? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Consideration of ordinance number 21-013, second reading, animal ownership. City Clerk, would you please read ordinance number 21-013 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-013 on second reading. An ordinance amending Title VI Animals to revise Chapter 6.08 Dogs and Cats, establishing Section 6.08.040C, vaccination and rabies control animal bites, 6.08.050 public safety measures, 6.08.035 reckless animal owner, 6.08.055 continuation of dangerous or vicious animal declaration, and 6.08.065 neglect of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain, would entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance number 21-013 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Salisbury has a motion, and Councilman Bailey has a motion. Further discussion? Any items here? You okay? Dean, you all right?
I'm good, sir.
I guess I have a question on page 21, 6.08065. It's unlawful for any animal to be left in a motor vehicle when outside ambient temperatures above 70.
76, I thought it read. Was it just 70?
70.
70
So I
degrees,
guess
yeah.
what's reasonable accommodation for temperature? I mean, does that mean the windows have to be down?
I'm sorry.
Does that mean the windows have to be down, or?
Above 75 degrees, the animal can't be in there, period, even with the windows down.
So it's okay for them to be standing out in the sun, but they can't be inside a vehicle?
Well, I think this is going towards it being in a vehicle.
Well, I'm
I mean,
just,
if they're, yeah, I mean, they most certainly can't be standing in the sun either, but this is like, just talking in part being in a vehicle, being left in a vehicle.
I'm sorry, but I think 70 degrees is a little bit low. A lot of people have their dogs in their cars. Sometimes they have the air conditioning going if it's more than 70 degrees outside. Again, this one seems a little subjective to me.
What would you like it to be?
Well, I guess I would have to know, I'm not an expert in this, so I'd like to know when it's 70 degrees out, what is the temperature in the car if the windows are up? If the windows are down, then it's probably gonna be around 70 degrees, which is nowhere near too warm for a car to be in the vehicle, or a dog to be in the vehicle. So it just seems like we need a little more information here.
Well, and this is kind of a suggestive item because most of us, I've had dogs all my life, and I'm not a good dog owner, it appears, because I never take water for them in my vehicle. You know, and ventilation, I would not leave one in without cracking windows like Councilman Bailey says. But I think this is all subjective to, once again, that's why we have Shannon. Somebody has to make the decision that these dogs are left without good intent, right?
It does also state in there, the animals provided adequate accommodations for the temperatures, water, ventilation, heat, air conditioning, and bedding, so that's all taken into consideration.
So my dogs just have to lay on the floor. There's no bedding, but it's better than outside, like Councilman Bailey says. But I think where we get lost in this is that 95% of the time, 99% of the time, the people that Shannon works with love these animals, and there's a small percentage of people that just want to be controversial over their animals, no matter what the statement of temperature's at. And so I guess that's where we have to have confidence in our officers, confidence in what they do, and we can certainly raise that temperature to 75 if you want. I'm not opposed to any amendment to do that, so.
Your Honor,
Kyle?
how many citations have we issued on dogs being treated unkindly in automobiles?
I went on some calls, I haven't issued any citations.
None. I've been here 21 years and I've never seen a citation for it.
And so we're legislating again something that doesn't occur? Are we in search of a problem?
Yeah, we are. And I think national news this week had 3 pit bulls that were in a car, and 1 died and 2 survived. And so there is a reality that this happens. We have, let's be fair about it, we have children that are left in their cars and they pass away.
Your Honor, so we have never written a citation, but we answer probably, I would say, 10 to 15 calls during the summertime. I would say 10 to 15 calls a week of people leaving their dogs in vehicles at Walmart and places like that. So it's not that it's not a problem. We just don't have the ability to issue citations.
And so once again, here we are, we're having to write some limits to our officers to try to keep our officers safe and the animals safe and direction provided. So I think we need some numbers there.
Yeah.
So that they can actually say, the ordinance is 70 degrees and it's warmer than that and you need to crack your windows. More than likely, if we've never put that citation out, they're gonna get away with a warning for more than likely. But at least we can have the conversation that this is not what you should do with your animals. And
Being able to have the power to issue a citation if needed, if they're gonna, fight it and say, because there's nothing in city ordinance now stating that. So it's given, the authority to issue a citation if needed and have it added as a city ordinance.
in statute. And so, if you want to move it up, let's move it up. But I think we need it. I think we need something there. So, it's not the average citizen. The average citizen is going to be very apologetic and try to do better. But the guy that is going to fight the police, he's going to want to see it in black and white. Am I right, Chief?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Your Honor,
I think Shannon's trying to have it at 70 so it doesn't get to a dangerous level for the dogs before she can do something. And so I don't think we should move it up either.
Your Honor,
Please, Chief?
Mia's looking at the internet right now, and it says when it's 70 degrees outside, it's 110 in your car, is what the internet is saying. So I think that's fair.
So it's just like being at the golf course.
Yeah.
Your Honor, that's with no ventilation, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. If you crack windows, and I think that's, you know, I have all confidence in Shannon and our police officers. Shannon can't do all of these. Police officers are gonna get caught doing some of them. And so they're just gonna have to educate the public that that's dangerous and please do something different. And we gotta have a starting spot someplace, in my opinion.
Your Honor, I guess, my question is, okay, so you have your dogs with you in your pickup and you have to stop at Walmart and go in. And it's 80 degrees outside. And so you open your windows, make sure they got a little water. We'll get you trained up.
Okay.
Okay, so is that reasonable? Or is that,
But how do we know how long you're gonna be in there?
well, I don't, you don't know that, okay? The question becomes, okay, if not, is he supposed to let his dog out before he goes into Walmart? Well, then that's a problem. He can not take his dog to Walmart, but if somebody's coming here from, you know, people take their dogs with them everywhere. I mean, they see them, they take them on planes, so I mean, if, you know, and so I guess, I just want us to be reasonable, and he's gonna have his dogs with him, and if they're in the car and they've got water and the windows are halfway down, we're probably okay, and so I don't wanna punish somebody for that, but yet, I totally understand, you leave your kid or your dog in the car with the windows up, and it's 80 or whatever degrees, they're gonna have a problem. So, I mean,
Still, even at 80 degrees and your car, your windows are down, if you sit in a car and it's 80 degrees and put your window down, if there's, and it's turned off, there's no air conditioning, the windows are down, there still is no, I mean, if it's dead still out, it's still hot in there. It's still gonna be well over 80 degrees. I mean, and who knows,
so-
if he's gonna run in there for 2 minutes and come back, that's it. I don't know that, nobody that calls it in knows that, they just see this dog. Because there's still, at that point, there's no, it's still hot in there.
right, so is the only other option then is to put his dog in the back of his pickup and chain it up? So then it's sitting out in the sun. I mean, I don't know if, somewhere there's gotta be a reasonable in the middle there somewhere, so that, you know, every rancher that comes to town's got 2 dogs with him, and they gotta be able to do their business without worrying about getting a ticket for their dog being in danger, because they're here.
Your Honor,
I guess, but I'm not for sticking your dog in your car and leaving it there for 2 hours either, so.
Your Honor, I
Kristen?
think it says except where, and obviously, there's gonna be, again, some subjectiveness, but a lot of us will, everybody runs in and out with their dog. But there are some people, the dog is just panting and in danger, and then they have something they can do about it. But the exceptions are listed in here, and their neglect to have that, I mean, to be reasonable, but, so I would.
Yeah, I don't think we can write a rule that is absolute here.
Right.
And so it has to have a starting spot. And yet, when you talk to dog owners, we don't want to get it so odorous that you can't have a dog, you know? And so, and I don't know that amending the temperature, you're always going to have, if it's, and we've experienced some 100 days, right? And if my dog's out in my yard and he's hot, you don't mind that. But if he's in the cab of my truck, now it becomes your responsibility to address that. And so,
And it just, I guess, because we had an incident couple weeks ago, 2 officers, I was off on weekend, 2 officers went to Sutherland's, there was a call that came in about a dog being in a vehicle. The windows were cracked, this was like one of the 95-degree days. The gentleman was from Vermont, he was working at nowhere else to take his dog, so he took it with him, and the dog had been in the vehicle quite a substantial amount of time. But when the officers got there, they went inside, tried to get a hold of the owner over the intercom, nobody came out, they went out, and the dog was getting to the point of mandatory steps and actions appropriate under the circumstances to protect the life of any animal confined in such a vehicle. We don't have that ordinance right now, so they even came to me afterward and say that they finally were able to get their deal down and unlock the door, and the dog, his tongue was dry, he was breathing very, very, very heavily. So we don't have anything in the ordinance right now to cover what they did. This will cover their actions. Because they went in there, they made the attempt to find the guy, and eventually he came out, but it was 2 or 3 hours that the dog was in there. So this covers them for what they did. And then they did try to get them to contact him. They took the appropriate action, and we don't have that in right now to back us up in what we do in our taking care of this animal. He was to the point of needing emergency care. And the guy said, well, I didn't have anything else to do. Well, you can't, it's neglect. There's always something else you can do. I mean, the dog was too drastic. It was not good.
Your Honor, may I read this real quick?
Please.
So it says, according to the American Veterinary Medical Association, studies have shown that cracking a window changes these figures very little. A parked car with the windows cracked heats up almost the exact same rate as a car with the windows rolled up, putting the pets in serious danger. And this is from the American Veterinary Medical Association that wrote this article.
Thanks, Chief. My suggestion is that we leave it at 70 and let the discretion of the officers do their work. Anybody want to write something different?
Your Honor, I think, when you say a window cracked, is it ½ inch, 6 inches? I think most people, as you said, are pretty responsible. But I think having the ability for law enforcement to take care of an animal that's having a problem, if they roll up and nobody shows up for 10 minutes and the dog's obviously having an issue, they need to be able to accommodate that. I don't think you guys are trolling the parking lot looking for schnauzers that are sitting in a car that just pulled up. I mean, there has to be, it's impossible to write law that covers every instance. And you have to rely on law enforcement to be subjective as well and make good common sense decisions on what they're doing. If it's the third time Joe Schmo has done this, you're probably gonna write him a ticket. If it's just a regular person, and it's the first time, you probably wanna track him down in the store and let him know what the problem is. So there's gotta be some give and take there on both sides, not just, I don't think you guys are out there just looking to write tickets. And if you are, then that's a whole different problem that has to be addressed.
Right.
But I think, again, when we talk police things, we need to have correct parameters. And if you get 27 pounds of fentanyl, can you give 1 pound back? You don't, do you?
No.
So they need cut and dried rules.
Yeah.
And then they, and I think we trust them really well, they have to make their decision of what is the right process from here. And my biggest disappointment is that there'll be lots of dog owners that see this as the city being aggressive to dog owners. And I don't think that's the case either. We just don't want, when the police department gets a call that says there's a dog in trouble, that's different than somebody just sees that I pull up and leave my dog and they just call immediately and turn me in, trying to just teach people not to leave their dogs. And so Shannon or a police officer has to make the determination if I can go in there and prove that, and most stores we can nowadays. That's unfortunate. We have all those cameras. You can actually prove you've been in there for 5 minutes. And my dog was just fine, and if it gets to that, that's what we have to do. But that's where the problem, that's where our police have to work, is in reality. It's not maybes, it's in absolutes. Any other thought? Anybody want to move it? Leave it alone?
I like, leave it alone.
I think we're okay.
Okay, here we go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Item number 13, bid award, police SUVs, Operational Division Manager's report, please.
Your Honor, members of the council, we're looking at 6 total vehicles here. So if I can go through them individually. The first one is for the police SUV. We bid that out on early July and opened those bids on the 20th. The only bidder for it was Fremont Chevrolet Buick GMC for a total cost of $40,126, no cents. I don't know if you want to take action on them individually or,
Well, we need to, and so if you want to just hold your reports on the SUV, that's great with us, and then we'll move to B and C, if that works for you. Does that work?
that'll work.
Okay. The chair would entertain a motion to award the purchase of a full-size SUV pursuit-rated police package SUV to the Fremont Chevy Buick GMC in the amount of $40,126.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has a motion. Councilman Peranto has a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Your Honor,
B, which is the 55 series cab and chassis.
Your Honor, you had a question.
Excuse me.
that's correct, Your Honor. We also bid these vehicles out at the same time. The bids were opened on the 20th of July, and the breakdown, you all have a copy of it. We had Fremont Chevy Buick and GMC at $92,372. Fremont Motors Company for a Ram, or 2 Rams, at $100,637.14. And Fremont Motor Company bidding 2 Fords for a total bid of $102,416.80. They were all responsive. The only difference is the Chevrolet offers a 6.6 liter diesel engine, and the Ram and the Ford have a 6.7 liter, which is insignificant in the scheme of things. So our recommendation would be to go ahead and go with the low bid.
Okay. And that is on the 55 series cab and chassis?
Correct.
Okay. So the chair would entertain a motion to award the purchase of 2 2021 Chevy 5500 cab and chassis trucks to Fremont Chevrolet Buick GMC in the amount of $92,372 even.
So moved.
Councilwoman Borders has a motion. Councilman Bailey, you want a second, or you want to hold?
Pronto.
Dean? Councilman Peranto has a second. Additional discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Item C is an airport work truck. Director's report.
Your Honor, this is different. This was it's a recommendation based on the cooperative purchase program with the state of Wyoming. This would be off of a Wyoming Department of Transportation bid. They actually bid the half-ton truck, and the only thing we were doing is going to purchase it with the exemption in the law allowing one political subdivision purchase off the bid of another vehicle or another agency. The breakdown, the award has already been made, but the Chevrolet Buick GMC received the award through YDOT. The unit price is $32,251, no cents.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to award the purchase of a 2022 Chevy 1500 work truck from Fremont Chevy Buick GMC at the amount of $32,250 even.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilman Larson has the second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Item D is collection and distribution sanitary truck operators, operational division manager's report, please.
Your Honor, this will be the same as the half-ton. This is based off a bid award to the Wyoming Department of Transportation, in which we would be purchasing off that exact bid. This is actually for 2 trucks, one for collections and distribution, and the other one for sanitation. Both budgets have money in for these vehicles. Both trucks combined, the total amount would be $59,544.00. And it was also awarded to Fremont, Chevy, Buick, and GMC.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to award the purchase of 2 2022 Chevy 3500 cab chassis trucks from Fremont Chevy, Buick, GMC in the amount of $59,544 even.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion and Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Item 14, public hearing and consideration of ordinance number 21-015, first reading on council concurrence of senior staff employment practices. City clerk's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pursuant to the council action at the July 20th regular council meeting, staff was tasked with the development of an ordinance that provided additional duties to the governing body in regards to employment practices over department heads. After review of the previously proposed ordinance and through oversight of the city's legal counsel, the ordinance that you find in your packet contains staff's interpretation of the requested changes. Outside of the publication costs, there is not an impact to the budget. If this ordinance is not reflective of the governing body's desired changes, council can direct staff to make specific amendments to the current ordinance or direct staff to develop a different ordinance under different guidelines. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Kristen, do you want to read the ordinance number 21-015 by title only?
Yes, sir. Proposed ordinance number 21-015 on first reading. An ordinance amending Title II, Administration and Personnel, Chapter 2.04, Mayor and Council, Section 2.04.110, Chapter 2.10, City Administrator, Sections 2.10.020, 2.10.030, 2.10.040, and 2.10.060. Chapter 2.12, City Clerk, Sections 2.12.010 and 2.12.030B. Chapter 2.13, Finance Director, Sections 2.13.010 and 2.13.030A. Chapter 2.20, Community Development Director, Sections 2.20.010 and 2.20.020A and F. Chapter 2.24, Public Works Director, Sections 2.24.010 and 2.24.030. Chapter 2.28, Chief of Police, Sections 2.28.010, 2.28.070, and 2.28.110. Chapter 2.32, Police Department, Sections 2.32.040 and 2.32.060, and establishing Sections 2.04.026 and 2.04.027, and repealing Sections 2.12.020, 2.13.020, and 2.28.050 of the Riverton Municipal Code, and to provide for additional duties and responsibilities of the governing body, and repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilman Peranto has the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
I'm Bethany Baldus, and I would just like to say that I really appreciate bringing this back to the council and having the conversation. I think that it's important to remember that we have a legislative body here that has the ability to work through issues and come up with a solution rather than just voting things down. So I'm very happy that you guys brought this back and are giving it the opportunity to have 3 readings. When I walked in tonight, looking at the staff that the city has, we have a superstar team. My street flooded on Saturday, as many did. There's an issue up at the top of Davis Lane where we get all of the storm water that goes down. Don't worry, you'll get to hear about that soon. No. But when I walked, I emailed Kyle Butterfield, Tony Tolstead, and the mayor on Sunday because we found out that our basement had flooded. By 8 o'clock, I had messages almost immediately from Mayor back in my email. I was trying to let him have Sunday, not have complaining residents. Monday by 8:30, Tony Tolstead and the mayor are both sitting on my, not sitting, but standing at my door to talk about the problem. By 12:30, Kyle had called me twice. We had been playing a little bit of phone tag, and there were solutions and conversations that were had. I don't think this ordinance is so much personal about what we're facing today. This isn't about our current city administrator. It's not our current council. It's not our current mayor. It's about the accountability that we have in the city. It's about making sure that the people can say their voice when there isn't something going right. People stand up here. I watched the last meeting, and it seems like so many names are being thrown out there, and it's like personal attacks. I don't see that. I don't see this as a current problem right now. It's a problem that we need to make sure that we have the accountability for tomorrow. I feel like last year was a perfect example of what happens when you have legislative bodies who have no control over appointed or staff positions. And COVID should have taught us what the importance is of having some oversight in the decisions that are made by hired officials. And with that, that's just kind of where I stand. And I think that it's important to take the personal out of this and just make sure that you guys go through the readings and have this be something that fits for Riverton. It doesn't mean that tonight has to be the perfect answer, but give yourselves the time and the ability to work through the problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany. Anybody else?
Your Honor and Council, my name is Josephine Gilpatrick, and I just wanted to say thank you again for bringing this back. I was opposed to the term strong mayor as it was used last time. I did read this, and I do have 2 or 3 questions. I want to know if this is going to transcend this governing body and the definition of governing body to make sure that this isn't something that we keep going back and forth based on whoever's currently governing the city. And then my other question was with regards to, it's under section 19 and/or page 36. It says all other appointments except the appointment of members of the board or commission and removals shall be made by the mayor with the consent of their governing body. I was kind of wondering what that applies to, and then also what the term consent means. Is that a vote, or is that just acknowledging that you got permission? Or so the term consent was of question, but also wondering what this paragraph applies to.
Content, that has to be a majority vote.
Consent does?
Consent does. So we'd have to have at least 4 votes to make that pass.
Okay.
And so, Josephine, tell me what paragraph you're at on page.
It's on page 36, the second paragraph down. It says all other appointments except the appointment of members of a board or commission removal shall be by the mayor with the consent of the governing body. So everywhere else it says by majority vote, but here it says consent. So I was wondering again what this applies to or what it could involve.
So the Edge Committee is selected by the mayor, and that's the way it currently is. So all the applications come in, and I get to look at those, and then I present to the council who I've chosen to put on that. And once again, by majority consent, they consent that those 7 appointments are good to put on.
So consent is the same as majority vote?
Well, I believe it needs, Kristen, doesn't it have to be a majority? Can't they block, in the past, I've only had this done once. In the past, we were doing the enhancement committee. And we got eight people that applied. And when you're doing the committee, you want to keep it uneven. And so I didn't put Mayor Wartness on, and I spoke to him about that. So we had 7. But Councilman Hancock thought that it was a really bad precedent to not put Mayor Wartness on. So he brought that up, and we just went ahead and put Mayor Wartness on. And we went with 8. And then we got consent. So those are mayoral appointments. And so somebody has to pick. Kind of like in here you'll read too that somebody has to read the oath to new police officers.
Right.
So typically, either Tony does that or I do that as in our appointment. But now there's 8 people that could do that. So we could actually say, take your turn. I'm not going to do them all.
Okay.
So
Yeah, this was under governing body's power of appointment, and so I wasn't sure where that was different versus another section.
there's also that section in there about special police. Chief, you know anything about special police?
Your Honor, I do not.
Because I was wanting to start my own police force, actually, and I didn't know exactly how to go about that.
Guards.
Guards would be a good,
You're just making
So-
it personal again.
Those are my only questions, where consent was different than majority votes and what that pertained to specifically, so.
so sometimes this stuff gets so deep in the weeds that we don't use all those, but the attorneys and the statutes have to be written that way, so it covers those. So those are good questions. When it breaks down to the individual, it has to be one person make the choice, and then they have to go back to the council to get a majority vote. So if I came up with a committee that I was the only one that liked, Kyle could block it.
Very good.
But as long as I can get 3 votes, I can get who I like. Okay?
Thank you.
That makes sense?
Tonight. And thank you for rewriting this, whoever rewrote this ordinance, so, thank
I
you.
think Kristen did that. We appreciate what she's done. Kristen and
Very
Tony.
much.
Your Honor.
Kyle.
Point of order. This is not what we voted down.
This is correct.
This is, by Robert's rules, what we voted down can't be brought up again. This is an entirely different piece of work. So when people refer to, I'm glad you brought it back, I'm glad you did this, this is a different piece of material.
I absolutely agree. I just am grateful the conversation wasn't done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josephine.
Your Honor, if I might. To carry on what Councilman Larson said, the strong mayor, weak mayor discussion was actually, we had it and we voted against it. In discussions after that, the intent was that the city council and the mayor could come together to be a part of the hiring process for the top 5 positions within the city. In the past, that wasn't the case. The city administrator would make those hiring decisions for everybody except for the city administrator, of course. And in our discussions, one of the roles that we thought we should look at was having a governing body make those top 5 hiring decisions. It's kind of like strong mayor, but as a council, as opposed to just the mayor. So it's not a strong mayor, weak mayor. We're not changing a form of government. We're really just changing how the hiring process takes place for those top 5 positions. So that's really the discussion we're having today, which is a little bit, on page 31, it says the governing body will determine that the responsibilities of the mayor should be modified to increase. It's not really what we're talking about, so we need to change that verbiage a little bit, so that's a little bit of a misnomer there. I was kind of hoping to clear that up.
In the whereas, take us where you're at. Give us,
Yeah, on page 31 where it says, whereas the governing body of the city of Riverton has determined that the duties and responsibilities of the mayor should be modified to increase the mayor's role and authority in handling the affairs of the city. That's not really what we're doing.
so do you want to strike that whereas totally and go to the next one?
I think so.
So if we strike that whereas and go to the next one, it's the governing body determines.
Governing body has determined that it is the best interest of the city and electors for modifications of the city code to increase the duties and authority of the council and the mayor,
Which is the governing body.
which is the governing body.
And I think Kristen's tried to do that. It's amazing how many times mayor appears and has to be stricken to governing body. And so
And,
she,
Your Honor, I do have a point of order. Technically, we're in a public hearing, so we should get information from the public first, and then we can have discussion regarding the,
Your Honor, it was my intent just to clarify what it is that we're going to be discussing.
okay, we'll forgive you.
Thank you. This time.
Anybody else wanting to speak can speak.
seeing none, Your Honor, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Bailey and a second by Councilman Larson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-015 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion, Councilman Bailey has the second. Further discussion. This is where we get to discuss. Now, this is council discussion, so any council discussion?
Your Honor, I think the initial whereas should be stricken. And the second whereas, where it says the governing body has determined that it is in the best interest of the city and its electors for modifications of the city code to increase the duties and authority of the mayor and council. Or we can just say the governing body.
Kristen, is that all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's a good suggestion.
And, Your Honor, so is there some place that governing body is defined as the mayor and city council?
Uh-huh. It is.
Okay.
Kristen,
As long as it is.
can you get me there? It's, now therefore ordained, that it be it ordained by the city, by the governing body of the city of Riverton as follows. So maybe do we need to clarify? And I think that's what I kept seeing, was that the governing body has been, everything's been changed to the governing body.
Your Honor, I believe we already have a definition in code, but I can look that up and just make sure.
Okay, thank you.
And Your Honor, on page 32, under 2.10.030, functions and duty, it says the city administrator shall be responsible to the mayor and the city council and shall work under the mayor's oversight to ensure the proper administration of all affairs of the city placed in his or her charge. I think it's, should be work under the governing body's oversight.
Well, it goes down to the next statement there in red, says city council and/or mayor shall.
Right.
So I think the red is what we're changing to.
Yes, sir, and that is in red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it clarifies that fairly well, that is council and mayor and city administrator.
Right.
We're not locking out the city administrator. So I think everybody has action there. And I think we do need to have some clarification to make things work correctly. The council is gonna have to come through the mayor, and I'm gonna have to go to Tony, and that's how it works, and that's how it's been working. And the only difference being is when we come to the 5 or 6, even if we create another department head, 7 someday, whatever it is, those employments would come through us, and we would get to see those applications.
Correct.
Is everybody there?
Your Honor, and one other thought that we had discussed previously was also under, if you look at page 33, for instance, under 2.12.030B, duties generally. And this happens kind of throughout here, but I think it should be addressed and discussed, that whomever, whatever appointment we're looking at as far as position, that they will attend all regular special meetings of the city and keep accurate journals of its proceedings unless excused by, and we're striking city administrator and adding mayor. I think that the mayor and the city administrator, I think the intent of this isn't necessarily to change the city administrator's job or role. So I think department heads that can't make administrative meetings should still communicate with the city administrator.
And you're right, that repeats over and over under every one of the department heads.
I know
And-
that as well.
And that should be, that the administrator could be the one that receives that information. If it's a council member, like Councilman Cox told me, and I didn't tell Tony, I assume she did. Did she tell you that she wasn't going to be here
You
tonight?
tell me.
Excuse me?
You did tell me, Your Honor.
Okay. And so that's just communication. And so
Right.
let's clean that up and make it the city administrator. He's going to be closer to the, I can't make it. And all of these are in that statute so that the police chief is compelled to be at the meeting. That's, unfortunately, it comes with the job, right?
Yes, sir.
And if the police chief can't be there, then he assigns somebody from his division. And so that's why and it's just repetitive. And so let's move that back to the administrator. And we can take mayor completely out if that's easier, or mayor, or so the council can report to whoever they want to too. Okay? Does that work, Kristen?
Yes.
Any other changes?
That was all that I had, Your Honor. Like you had a couple.
Christie?
I had a couple questions. So on section 2, page 31, the qualifications, I see the change, the position is now not an appointed position subject to the appointment and termination provisions of Wyoming statute. So when we're having the conversations like Bethany said, I believe by changing that it is an appointed position instead of not. It gives the city administrator some protection under due process that he doesn't have otherwise. Is that correct?
Christie, take us.
Where are you at?
Take us.
Page 31, the bottom 2.10.020
Yeah.
qualifications, and it changes the position is not an appointed position. So now it is an appointed position. Is that what the change means?
And it always has been. So that should be stricken.
Well, actually, I think it actually, when you talk about, it does give the city administrator the same protection of due process as it does the other department heads. So I think that actually is a good change to give the city administrator, whoever that may be, some protection, whether it's just getting fired or having the due process as the Wyoming statute
But
states.
the position itself is an appointed position. That's all
Now,
stated.
but it wasn't.
Yeah, it is now. It is now. That's the only, it is right now an appointed position.
So it's
And that's what they're.
crossed out but not.
Well, the only thing that's changing is that it before crossed out city council and put in governing body.
Down,
No, I think you're talking about the not as being crossed out. I had the same question, highlighted it, and after speaking with Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
go ahead.
The position is appointed by the council now. So the word not should be crossed out as it is presented, because if you look at it inversely, it was appointed by the city council anyway.
So, okay.
Is that right, Tony?
Your Honor, I'm going to have to look at that a little bit closer and go through, but we can bring that for the next.
Well, and it's fine, like I said, either way.
If it's add verbiage, we want to change it.
Yeah, and Your Honor, as it currently stands, I was appointed.
Okay.
I do have a contract. That doesn't. We can find that out.
And then the other one, when we were talking about being involved in the process for the department heads, the community wasn't involved in our conversation, but part of it is when we have a position come open, I would like for the city council to be able to discuss, okay, before we replace this person, is this what we need? Does it need to be the same position? Does it need to be changed? What kind of things do we want to have happen when a position comes open? And the way it is now, we may or may not have that input because we may not even know what the process or where it is, and it already happens before we can say, hey, wait a minute, let's go over this. So I think that gives the council and the mayor and the city administrator the chance to have a discussion and say, how can we make this work better? And bring the discussion up, not just in, okay, here it is when we get to our city council meeting on Tuesday night and have no discussion about it. So I think that would be a positive change. On the removal of department heads for just cause under section 4, 2.10.040, I'm not sure if the city council needs to be, if for the removal has to be the same, because if a city administrator has just cause to remove a department head, obviously there's a reason for it and there's the process for that. I don't know that the city council, I think we have to give the city administrator some authority and support if he feels like someone's not doing their job for a good reason. I feel like he should be able to remove them and let it go through the process. I don't know that we have to be involved and argue the points or make that. So I don't know if that part, the removal part, has to be part of the ordinance.
Give me the page, would you please?
It's section 4, let's see.
Top of page 33.
Yeah,
Top of 33.
yes.
Thank you. Top of 33.
I think being part of the process and appointing is different than removing them for this.
Yeah, and you know, this gets, and out in the public, this turns into a hiring and firing. This is not a hiring, firing decision. So if you want to leave that as administrator, that's fine. We just need Kristen needs that clarification. Tony?
So take out the removal. We don't need to be part of the removal process of an if you're removing someone for just cause, you don't have to have the consent of us to do that.
Your Honor, yes, we'll make that change. To be clear, there are a number of items that as we have this discussion, that council can give direction to the administrator as your employee that says, hey, we want to see X. So the feedback is perfect. I will tell you that the very, very few times that I've ever had to remove a department head, those are very, very few in 14 years. It was never done without first consulting counsel in executive session. I mean, without exception. I would tell you that if it needs to be said that if in 20 years when you get another council member administrator, that you probably have that, make that statement so they don't go and do it all by themselves. But I can tell you right now that will not happen.
Kyle?
Tony, isn't it correct when we have had executive meetings, that's where we deal with that topic, employees, raises, terminations, et cetera, in executive sessions. So in the past, we've dealt with it there and moved on with it. But you have always kept us informed of all of those actions. And it never, we've just been informed of it. And I don't think that we want to take that power. I mean, Mike's not interoperating with that department heads as much as he is. I mean, if Mike has to do that, Mike's business is not going to be very successful. So I think you're right. We want our administrator to the firing, which for the public, if you look at the turnover ratio of the city of Riverton, it's close to 0.
Yeah, this is a blue herring, and we can spend all night trying to explain how we're going to fire somebody.
When was the last firing?
I was going to say, we don't fire anybody. And so the reality of it is this isn't about firing or hiring. What it is about is getting input. And when we go back to the fact, it's getting input from the electorate, from you people in the audience, you don't have the ability to vote for staff. That isn't the way it works. And so when everybody keeps saying, I don't understand what we're changing, we're trying to put this back into the hands of the electorate. And the electorate votes for these 7 positions. And so when you get a phone call and say, I think Chief Murphy needs to be replaced, you have a responsibility to bring that to the rest of us and explain why that call came to you. And then we all have, Bill Overkite, rest his soul, was a great city employee, but he was on the edge. And I got plenty of calls over the years that Bill should be replaced. Well, that's a matter of opinion, right? That we don't have that. And so Tony is in charge of those employees. He should retain that. But when it comes to it, we still have the ability right now, today, without changing anything. If the 4 of us, if we get 4 votes on this table, the only person that we can remove is Tony. Every other staff member is protected. Am I correct, Kristen?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the reality that we're going to fire the chief of police from the city council isn't the reality.
Yeah.
That does not happen. That is not a possibility. Even if we get 100% vote, that goes through the city administrator, and that's where it needs to stay.
So there one other thing on the special police officers on page 35.32.040. It's kind of the same thing. I don't really want our governing body by majority vote to call up the police officers or cancel them, because I'm thinking if we need them, it probably needs to be immediate.
Which is this?
Page 35, 2.32.040.
On 35, 2.3?
2.32.
That's my special police.
Yes. I don't think you want to call all of us and say, hey, we need a special police force.
I don't want you mess.
Or you don't want us to call and say, hey, shut down your police force. I don't want to have that part.
Now,
Mike might, but I don't.
I've asked on a number of occasions, and when I was a kid, we had a civilian police group. Now, that would fall under this, possibly, this section. Would it or would it not?
Your Honor, it would likely be the reserve officers that we keep on reserve at times in the case that we have to recall them in state of emergency.
And so it would be, and that's why they say special police officers. It has to be an out-of-ordinary situation, right?
Yeah.
And if we had riots or something, where some cities have, we would have the ability to make that work. And so, very unlikely that we're ever going to get there. I don't know why this is in there. It reads a little strange when you read it. I would like to have my own police force, but that's probably not the way it works. So,
I think we just leave that as city administrator.
so Kristen, do you want to make an adjustment to 2.32.040? What do you want to change?
Just leave it as city administrator.
Do you want to leave city administrator in and strike the governing
Yes.
body?
Yes. And majority vote. in
And
both
then,
of them.
and then one other thing, I think we need to say reserve police officers versus special.
I don't, because you don't know what the special concurrence is, the special problem. We may not have thought of it yet. I like reserve officers, but that's just me. And so if it's a whole different, it might be a fire problem, right? Or a flood problem.
Your Honor, well, right now, we only have 3 reserve officers, so I would tend to agree with you. If we need more than that, then that discounts the reserve officers.
So, Kristen, under that section, you would like to go back to city administrator and strike governing body by majority vote, and then the governing body down at the bottom where it says city administrator?
Yes.
So you trust Tony to put a special police force
Well,
together.
I just think it's,
You don't trust the council.
well, it's also, it's Tony and the chief of police, I
Well,
believe, isn't it?
But,
It's-
but one person can do that versus getting 4 or 5, and there's an emergency. It's easier to work with one than it is 7.
That's my contention.
I mean, when you've got the fire at the front door, you don't need a vote on it.
So that could be, I mean, you could either leave it at city administrator or put city administrator / mayor and put both of you in case
Yeah.
one can't.
I agree with
I don't know.
I would agree that I think that section could stay the way it was previously.
Yeah.
Your Honor, or say city administrator / mayor.
Yeah, you could put both, because when Tony's out of town, you could appoint a special.
But now, are you really going to trust the mayor to make a decision?
No, you're right.
Not in that.
Better leave it governing body.
Yeah, I think that's stretching it. I think we just put it back where it was. We haven't, when was the last time we used a special police force?
Your Honor, I can't think of a time where we've done it here.
Stalin did it in World War II, just prior to, but I think that was the last one that I can remember.
Your Honor, guards has a nice ring to it. You're gonna nick yourself out of that.
So, Kristen, could you, on that section 2.32.01040, return to its original?
Yes.
And we'll try not to use special police forces unless Tony has a purpose for one.
Your Honor.
Yes,
Okay, page 34,
34.
2.24010. And this applies to multiple spots in the document. So I have a question. Are the current department heads under contract now, or are they appointed year to year?
Your Honor, currently, all of the existing department heads do have a contract, and they are not appointed year to year. They have an existing contract, they're employed until removed, if that ever happened, but they do have a contract.
So we haven't been following the way the ordinance says right now?
We have not.
Okay.
So what
Is that,
what would staff like to do? Would you like to be under contract, or would you like to be under year to year? I would think contract would be better, in my opinion.
Well, in that they haven't been following it, they like it the way it is.
Well, Tony hasn't called a special police group either.
Bunch of slackers.
so I guess, and then my follow-up question would be, is that follow down through other positions in the city? They're all under contract, or are most of them, so only department heads are under contract, other employees are just,
Just
At will.
hired, or will.
Correct.
is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Kristen, could you clean that up for us? And take that back out and take us back to where we are and where we have been by contract and not by year to year?
Well,
No.
I think the new version is correct. If they are under contract now, then that would leave it
Position shall be
the way
set by
that
contract.
we are doing it currently,
Right.
even though that's not the way the current law is written.
And so do you want to leave in the governing body, majority vote, shall approve?
Yes, I think we're going to be involved in that, so we would be looking at the contract also.
Okay,
So, okay, I'm good with that.
so you don't want to change any of that verbiage, correct?
No, I just wanted to clarify that we already were using contract.
Does anybody else have any changes on Mike's points? Okay. Anybody else?
So to be clear on page 36, Your Honor, we're striking the term of office. That's because we've added contract. Is that correct? Like 2.12.020
21, 22,
and,
23, yeah.
okay.
That's correct, Your Honor, if I may.
Please.
And there were only 3 positions that were in code, that they would be selected year to year unless sooner removed, which was contradicting to what the code said about the position serving at the pleasure of the city administrator for what it says, who shall serve for such term for such compensation as the city administrator may from time to time determine. And so we scratched those to reflect current operations, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to change anything there?
No, sir, just verify.
Okay. So is it clear as mud from page 30 to 37?
I think so.
Kristen knows what she's doing. All of us got our complaints in. So we're at the end of discussion, unless anybody else has anything to add. If we have none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. We're now at 15, reports and comments, council committee reports, and council member roundtable. Carla, could you start us off?
Certainly. Last night, I was able to attend the School District 25 Rec Board meeting, just finalizing the budget. Just went through the audit, and they have everything turned in, and everything looks great. They were really worked hard. I just want to tell them thank you. Haven't had a community engagement meeting yet. Just want to encourage everybody to get out and enjoy the fair and all the stuff that's going on this week. Lots of good stuff. Just get out and enjoy our city. That's all I have.
Thanks, Carla. Kyle?
Kyle Butterfield sent out a PDF on the attendance at the airport, boardings. And in 2013, in July, we had 1,493 boardings. It's never been that high since this year, 2021, when it broke 1,819 boardings. Now, it's been a long time for that to happen, and that's been a total effort by the airport board and those appointed previous administrations. But that's a remarkable turnaround, especially when we had 2015, we had 201 boardings, where we've got 18. And the significance is this: the airport does not get subsidies from the federal government unless it's above 10,000 boardings. 10,000 boardings allows us to keep the airport modern. 10,000 boardings allows us to attract businesses to come to Riverton that pay well, that have good jobs. And 1,819, I flew out of here and flew in, and both times the planes were full. So it just means that there'll be more flights, more convenience, better gate locations. When I bought my tickets from Riverton, I bought them to Houston, Texas, and from Houston, Texas, I flew to the bottom of Texas to can't remember. And that was nice. In the past, it's been take your bags, pick up your bags, take your bags, pick up your bags. And this is a pure luxury. And I just want to commend those individuals that are driving this and give Kyle a big thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Christie?
I have not had a chamber meeting. We'll have one this Thursday, and I expect they'll be announcing the new chamber director at that meeting publicly. So that'll be next meeting. I also enjoyed seeing our police officers, Tyler, Billy, Logan, and Dave, on the front page of the paper in the pig wrestling. Good for them. And I like to hear Kyle said there'll be more flights going in and out. Hopefully sometimes we'll have some flights to other places in Wyoming. So we all want to go to a Laramie football game, fly down and back and stuff like that. So put that in your next meeting.
Okay.
I'm afraid they're going to fly over the stadium and push you out.
That's
right.
I'll be wearing my BYU shirt.
That'll definitely get pushed out, though.
They may not even let you on the plane.
Oh, yes,
You, if you survive,
special airport, special air suit.
if you survive the fall, you might not survive the eating. Right.
I haven't had any meetings since we've met last, but again, I'm very impressed with our airport numbers. It's great. Again, everybody's worked hard over many, many years to get that going, and so to the FAST committee and the airport board and everybody involved, that's been awesome. And again, there's a lot of great things going on in Riverton and Fremont County this week, and so enjoy the festivities. I always enjoy seeing the officers down at the fair on horseback and all that, sort of nostalgic, I guess. But again, they do a good job, and they really help out down there, keeping things in order. And again, at the fair this year, they're going to be allowing alcohol at some of the events on more of an open basis. And so I hope the general public behaves themselves and everybody play nice, and then we'll be able to keep doing those kind of things if everybody, if we don't have to hire 50 police officers to manage the fair or something. So in the past, we've done really a great job, and I hope that continues. So again, it's a great time to be around Fremont County, so.
Dean?
Your Honor, it's, having been on the airport board for a year or two, it's just really neat to see that that's come. I guess I had to leave in order for the numbers to come up. I had to have done that sooner if I'd known it was that easy. No, really, it's just a tremendous effort by everybody, and we thank the airport board and FAST and Kyle and his team up there. But it really is a community as well. There's just been a lot of, and as Kyle mentioned, being able to get your luggage checked all the way through is a huge convenience. And the partnership that's in place now was just kind of it was kind of a hard thing to switch from our previous provider, because they were so good to our community and really kind of helped us get over that bubble. But the current partnership is fantastic. That inline baggage is great, and the numbers are really showing that. So it really is a service to the community, and the community's also made that happen as well. So I was traveling during this Saturday's rain event, but I knew it happened because the bark that I have in my front area ended up all the way down the street. So if anybody finds any bark and they want to bring it back up, that's cool. I was out there with my leaf blower trying to get it kind of some semblance of where it goes. So, but I did look at the video to see how bad it was. Well, the water was halfway up my driveway. It was pretty incredible. And apparently it was that way down Main Street too. So appreciate everybody's work in getting that opened up. And apparently the drains on Main Street were covered, right? Is that kind of what happened? But said he worked hard to get that resolved as well. And I didn't attend any other meetings, Mr. Mayor, so thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate it. Tony?
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, the play numbers are wonderful. We're glad to hear that. As council knows, we applied for the 56 permit. We were issued that. We will be having a meeting for interested parties on the 10th. That's going to be at 5:30 p.m. It'll be here at City Hall. Any individuals that are interested in participating, they do have to be trained. There are requirements of that program for people who participate, including learning how to take the lymph nodes and the front teeth. And so we do have, we do provide that training, and it's not complex, but it does take some skill. The Game and Fish participates. Shannon Sanderson has done an exceptional job of getting this back up and running again this year. We've reviewed the documents for those that we have for permissions. There's been checking on the existing landowners. Mayor Guard has also helped with that a great deal in trying to find appropriate locations. The challenge that we have with this program is always going to be having safe property to work from and to engage that activity. It's hard to reduce urban deer population. You have to be in the urban area. It's by definition and by our regulations, and we're trying to stay in line with those. So if anybody is interested, please give us a call. They can call Shannon, they can call myself, the mayor. All of us, have been really involved with it since its inception. And we're happy to provide information. If somebody has property where they think it might be useful, please give us a holler. If you want to volunteer and be part of this, please do. I'd recommend that it's not necessarily the place to learn to hunt, but it is very much so a place that, that we do need help in. And there's a lot of different roles to serve, and we appreciate the people that have helped out to date. So again, on the 10th at 5:30 p.m. here. The Pershing project was scheduled for today, and that was pushed to tomorrow. So please keep in mind that they're going to be doing the chip seal and doing the work on that tomorrow. Of course, weather dependent. If all of a sudden it starts dumping rain, that's going to get pushed again. Very much appreciation to Megan and the Public Works team that worked through that. They noticed that on Facebook, as well as worked with 71 Construction, who went and provided door hangers for that again. They've been trying to really get that information there, and we did have a public meeting the other night, the mayor and I both attended, to try to provide that information. And then our staff went back around the next day and tried to do, and to provide the letters that we provide again with contact information on it. So that's much appreciated. If there's questions about those projects, they can always call City Hall and we can direct them appropriately. Edge process just closed, the application for the Edge process. So as of Monday morning, we put those all together, got them on our common drive, started putting those together. We're going, and we have 6 applications, it looks like. So that's really positive that we have those applications, and they vary greatly. We will be forwarding those on to council as well, that application material, so you have more time with it. We will be, part of our process with that is if somebody doesn't submit a part of that application, because there's a couple questions that are asked as part of it, we don't say, well, you didn't fill out the whole application in its entirety. No, we just go back and we call them and say, hey, your community members, hey, can you try to answer these a little bit for us? And then, so we give some time. If they get their stuff in, we try to give them time and work with them, and we've had great response this year. The Edge will meet on the 19th of this month. Force will meet Monday, and Airport Board will meet on the 20th. And I wanted to say many thanks to those who were involved in all of the aspects of the Fremont County Fair. Our family is, my family has personally taken advantage of being able to be part of that, and we're very appreciative. It's a great event for our community, so thank you. And many thanks to our city staff who've helped everything from the parade to different parts of that. So, Your Honor, I have nothing else.
Thanks, Tony. I didn't put that on my list, but Saturday's rainstorm affected a bunch of businesses down Main Street, and one of the reasons it affected those businesses is we had closures on the storm sewers. So which is a requirement from the EPA, so none of the construction debris can get down the drains. And so overhead doors building was inundated with water, and it ran 25 feet into the building and did severe damage. So this morning when it started to rain again, we're just real fortunate, aren't we, to have rain? And so you're either complaining or you're not, And so I had gone down to 71 just to conduct, or to overhead door just to conduct my own personal business, and saw the damage and saw what they had done. And they took me outside and said, it would be nice to get these barriers off of the drains. And so that was Monday. It wasn't raining. This morning it was raining and started to pool. And I called Tony, and Tony jumped right on it and talked with Kyle. Kyle gave him some information. Kyle was eating lunch with some kind of group. I don't know what it was. The Rotary. I do too. But the Rotary had Kyle busy, and so Tony went directly. Kyle already had talked to Mr. Schandelmeyer. Tony went to him, and we got permission to take them not off the south side, but off the north side where they were finished. And so unless we ask. There's a lot of silly things out there that just don't happen, and you can't have a water incident like that without a place to put the water. And Main Street was inundated, and it's nice to have that ability to make those things work. And so Tony took care of that for me, and so the north side, he reported to me as we were coming into this meeting that those caps are already off those drains. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the state of Wyoming. So many times I get in lots of conversations, Federal and Main Street aren't ours. So when we're fixing a water leak under Main Street, we're fixing somebody else's road. And we can't always dictate what we're doing with their road. And so lots of times it seems like it's a city road, but it really isn't. And so we have things that we have to ask and get permission. Councilwoman Cox asked me, and I would like to get on that also, to thank the city employees, city staff for the help that they gave the Little League. State tournament was here, and that might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it's hundreds and hundreds of people that come to that event from Wednesday to Saturday evening, spending money and enjoying the eating establishments and shopping establishments in Riverton, Wyoming. And we really do appreciate their coming here. She also arranged for me to throw out the first pitch for the opening game. I actually got it to the catcher. She would have asked one of you guys, but I don't know if you could got it to the catcher.
Probably not.
So that was a lot of fun, and it was fun to see the people from out of town that were down there. I don't know if any of you noticed in the paper and on the Facebook, the co-op replaced a bicycle for a little girl that lost her bicycle. And I was able to talk to the co-op about their work there, and that's really what makes Riverton a great place to live. And we really do appreciate what people do, what the people of Riverton do. We appreciate that. And so on the other side of that, the police department got 242 calls in the last 7 days for service. And so when we talk about, I'm not so sure that this should be not here or not there, or 70 degrees here or 70 degrees there. Our police department does a wonderful job, and they're out there constantly answering the call and doing their job and doing it well. And I, for one, my brother said to me, "Did you see the car crash down on the corner of Majors and Monroe?" And I said, "No, I drove by there around 8. Well, that's when it happened, just around 8. And there were police cars everywhere down there. I didn't know we had that many police cars. And I don't know if, I shouldn't say drunk driver, a guy that didn't want to be, for some reason, was evading, correct?
Yes, sir. He was a drunk driver in a stolen car.
And so he crashed into a telephone pole and did major damage to the telephone pole. And thank goodness we have that law enforcement that shows up when we have those problems. And I really do appreciate it. I also noticed the police force on the front page of the paper, and I think they caught their pig.
Yes, sir, they did.
All right.
The firemen beat us, but we still caught it.
And so they didn't shoot him before they caught him, did they?
No, Your Honor, they didn't. However, they did have a plan in place because it's pig wrestling. So they said they were going to get a pig in the barrel no matter what, even if they had to stuff one of the guys in the barrel.
You know, and we laugh about this stuff, but if you watched Sports Center last night, there was a cat on the field at the Yankees game, and all of the groundskeepers couldn't catch the cat, okay? And so they chased the cat for a long time and postponed the game, and finally one of the grounds crews guys opened the gates to the stand, and the cat ran out into the stands. I don't know what they did to the poor cat in the stand, but he was off the field and we could go back to playing baseball. So I do appreciate the police, and I realize the job that you do is far from easy, and every time it's a judgment call, every time. And I hope we support you sufficiently that you understand that. I get this twice a week and I really do appreciate it. The sheriff's office sends me the jail count. We're under the number of, there's 100, I got it just before I came tonight. It was 171. The report before that was 170. And the quarantine beds are at 22, and they jumped to 23 on today's report. And so I appreciate that information, and it's not easy to get in jail, but we're getting that. We negotiated a contract, an MOU with the Fremont County, and they're going to hold a specific number of beds for us, and they were kind enough to drop the actual cost of a bed down by $20 per person per day. And so we really do appreciate that. As was mentioned earlier in the meeting, Davis Lane took some flooding, and Tony and I went to see that. We would have taken Kyle, but you weren't at the radio station. So it was also mentioned the chip seal. We try to have these public meetings on all of our work projects. Kyle and his team put those together, and only one citizen from Broadway to 8th Street showed up. And when we got to investigating that, she said, well, I didn't even get a letter. So Brandon Tolman, he without being asked, Tony informed me the next day, that was on a Wednesday night. Brendan went back and went through Stoner Circle and all of the areas and made sure people knew exactly what was being done. And I really do appreciate that. I'd like to have more people at those meetings. We just spent $86,000 on that street, right? So sometimes people aren't as interested as I would like them to be. But that chip sealing did get postponed because of the rain, and they will go ahead with that and try to get that done before. They will put the oil down and the chips in a 7-hour period of time. And if you are in those areas, we would ask you to avoid Pershing. But if you go through Pershing or you live on Pershing, 71 has made it very clear that if you need help getting through there, all you got to do is call them and they will make sure you get in and out. So real good company to work for. And I would like to also point out that they saved us a ton of money on that project. And so it's nice to get that bid the way it came in. I believe it was almost $50,000 under estimate.
No, that's correct.
And another $100,000 under the next competitive bid.
That is correct.
I went to a FTAG meeting in Du Bois, and I know that it seems silly, the ordinances that sometimes we take a look at. But as I parked my truck on Main Street in Du Bois, a lady came walking past my truck with a Bramer bull calf that was a long ways from being a calf. He was shoulder height to me on a lead line, on a leash. And I was meeting with the mayor of Du Bois, and he says that that lady walks that Bramer bull all over Du Bois. And so it's interesting what people do, and it was fun to see it. I have it on video. If anybody wants to see it, it's on my camera. And good-looking Bramer bull, but it wouldn't be my choice of something to lead down Main Street of Du Bois. And so I do appreciate the conversations. I appreciate the council for looking at those hard and amending those and getting those where the police can do their job. The 56 permit's been mentioned, and I appreciate Shannon for her hard work on that. She has taken a lot of work off of me, and so I appreciate what you do there. So, with that said, does anybody else, staff, have anything to add?
No, Your Honor.
I do, on the airport, want to point out, just like Councilman Bailey, we have 2 members of our FAST team in the room, which is Ernie Over and Kevin. And the numbers are, excuse me?
And Kyle Butterfield.
And Kyle, excuse me. Kyle runs the thing. He's not on it. Kyle is the real mover. And Kyle showed me a new video. We ought to show that we ought to have that for next council meeting. That is a good video for advertising the airport.
Your Honor, we could do that tonight if you want it.
You got it? So he'll show you a video that is really kind of interesting, and the numbers are miraculous. The numbers went to 1,819 boardings in 1 month out of Riverton. And last year, what were they, Kyle? 400?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I was looking for that video. What was the question?
What were the numbers last July?
Your Honor, I'll have to look that up, but
Kyle has it, I think it was.
memory serves me, it was around 500 or just under.
I believe it was right around 400. So to go clear to 18 is monumental. And it's not necessarily the FAST group or the city council. It's the people of Riverton. It's the people of Fremont County. They're getting on the plane and using it. And we really do appreciate them doing that. We've worked hard to try to keep that airport where it's at, and there is a lot of people in this room that have put their heart and soul in it. I think Dean was on the airport board for 12 years. And I think it has nothing to do with you coming off the board. And so I think there's just a whole lot of people putting in a lot of time and effort to make that successful. And Kyle has that ready, I think.
Your Honor, I may need some help with audio if it doesn't automatically pick up, but we should be able to show it. And perhaps just for a quick background, this is part of our new marketing campaign. The FAST Group partnered with Narrator Group, and they've come up with this TV spot and social media spot to advertise what we've termed Wyoming's practical airport. And that's how we're going to market who we are, because we are practical. We're in the center of the state. We know that we're not Miami. We know that we're not LA. We're a practical airport.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness indeed. May take a minute to stream. Let's start that over.
Cool.
Very.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle, for doing that on the spot. I appreciate that. As you can see, we have great staff, and we have great ability to get things done. And so I appreciate the staff, I appreciate the committee members in the room, and I especially appreciate the council. So thank you. If no,
Your Honor, I have one more thing I forgot to bring up earlier, and this is regarding the Riverton Kiwanis Sleep in Heavenly Peace Build Day. I just wonder maybe if Mia could kind of give us the down low on who to contact and what kind of volunteers you need.
Sure, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the Kiwanis Club has partnered with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, which is an organization that builds beds for kids who are currently sleeping on the floor. There's really no guidelines for qualifications for the children. They don't look at the financial situation of the families. There's no concern about why the children are sleeping on the floor. The sole question is there a child in your household, and are they sleeping anywhere besides a bed? If that is the case, then they would qualify for a free bed through Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We are going to be hosting a build day in Riverton on Saturday, August 14th from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the City Park. It's on the east side of the band shell. We are looking for volunteers to help build beds. So if you're interested in volunteering, you can reach out to me. The Kiwanis group also has a sign-up link on their page as well. We're also looking for donations or sponsorships to build the beds. Sleep in Heavenly Peace projects that it costs approximately $250 to build a bed for a child. And so that's their threshold, but they are open to taking any amount of money that anybody can donate for a sponsorship. And if you would like to sponsor, you can also reach out to me, make your check payable to Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and I do have an address for the organization in Worland to mail the check. And then also we are currently accepting bedding as well. It must be clean and brand new bedding. Unfortunately, they aren't able to accept used bedding. It's for twin-sized beds only. And it's a flat sheet, fitted sheet, pillowcase, pillows, and any comforters or blankets that you can donate. And we can accept those donations here as well, or you're welcome to bring them down to the build on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mia, for the work you do, and for those Kiwanis and the Rotary and all of those groups. We really are thankful for their efforts. So if there's no objections, we'll adjourn the meeting at 9:12.